EV manufacturers, take note. A new powerhouse has entered the scene. Canadian electric car parts manufacturer Magna has just unveiled its latest game-changing innovation, a cutting-edge, high RPM electric motor. This revolutionary motor isn't just lighter, it delivers twice the power and boasts significantly greater efficiency than most motors currently in use. Now, if you haven't heard of Magna before, you might be wondering who they are. While they may not be a household name, Magna is one of the actual largest and most influential automotive parts manufacturers in the world. In fact, it consistently ranks among Canada's biggest companies, supplying crucial components and production facilities to major automakers across the globe. Industry giants like Mercedes-Benz, BMW, and Ford have relied on Magna's expertise for decades. With the rise of electric vehicles, Magna saw an opportunity to lead the charge in EV technology. Recognizing the shift early on, the company poured significant investment into developing essential EV components, a move that has cemented its place as an automotive powerhouse in the electric era. Today, Magna is a key player in vehicle electrification, supplying vital components to some of the most prestigious car brands. For instance, BMW's mirror controls, seating electrics, and other electrical peripherals are primarily sourced from Magna. Meanwhile, Ford and Volkswagen lean heavily on Magna for their EV components, and Mercedes-Benz entrusts the company with entire powertrains for its electric vehicles. But perhaps the most impressive testament to Magna's influence is its partnership with Jaguar. The British automaker has given Magna full control over the production of not just one, but two of its models, the Pace and the I-Pace. Despite operating behind the scenes, Magna plays a pivotal role in shaping the future of electric mobility. And with their latest high RPM motor, they're proving once again why they're a force to be reckoned with in the EV revolution. However, one of their greatest achievements was their well-known powertrain, the Magna eDrive. The Magna eDrive, which was initially developed in the 2010s, has been a game-changer for the world of EVs. This completely new and radical powertrain promised a massive step forward in terms of potency, efficiency, and, above all else, ease of manufacturing. One of the key reasons why companies like Stellantis, Tata, Mercedes, and many others go to Magna to produce their EVs is the fact that the eDrive is one of the easiest EV systems to install in a vehicle, be it an EV or a hybrid. For example, the Jaguar I-Pace that we previously mentioned uses two complete eDrive systems as well as power electronics and integrated drive units, meaning this entire platform is built from the ground up using only Magna's parts. This is also true for the new Fisker Ocean, which uses its powertrain and is also made by Magna entirely. Some vehicles, like the Volkswagen ID.4, are built from the ground up too. However, unlike the previous two, this one was developed by Volkswagen themselves, and they partially use the eDrive system, showing how easily it can be integrated with vehicles that weren't designed for it specifically. The BMW iX3, on the other hand, uses the eDrive system too, albeit the platform itself is developed, or shall we say adapted, from the regular X3, showing that the eDrive is a powertrain that can be used without any restraints. Apart from this, Stellantis, Rivian, Hyundai, and various new manufacturers and startups tend to rely more or less on Magna in their eDrive. However, that potency was brought to an even greater position earlier this year with the introduction of Magna's new electric motor. Magna's previous electric motor was regarded as one of the better ones on the market. With 400 volts, its remarkable 91% efficiency, a 2 kilowatt per kilogram ratio, and a 16,000 RPM limit, the motor was solid but ultimately unimpressive. It's for this reason that the I-Pace isn't regarded as either the best or the worst EV out there, just well in the middle. For example, it was outfitted with two eDrive units, meaning two electric motors, which granted it a total of 400 horsepower. Not bad, however, far from, say, a Tesla Model Y Performance Plus. It also had a relatively mediocre range of only 280 miles due to subpar battery management, which is something Magna is generally known for. They are weaker in this regard than many of Magna's rivals. Are there any downsides to using this new eDrive system? Well, yes, there are. However, these issues won't be practical. Rather, they'll be far more financially problematic, if you get what we mean. You see, 800-volt powertrains similar to the new eDrive have already been used by other manufacturers. Porsche has used it in the Taycan, GMC reserved it for the Hummer EV, and Tesla currently offers it only with the Cybertruck. So essentially speaking, big 800-volt architectures tend to be far more expensive to make. This is because the electronics used, such as inverters, converters, and onboard chargers, need to handle considerably higher voltages, resulting in a far more expensive product. In addition to that, the battery packs are also more expensive, as they require adaptations that allow for more robust insulation, wiring, and various new safety measures required for noticeably higher voltages. In addition, albeit not mandatory, batteries oftentimes become even bigger than before to extend the range of these vehicles, which of course results in the price growing even higher. Now, this isn't a rule. However, most manufacturers tend to do so nowadays. As a result of all this, an 800-volt eDrive will be noticeably more expensive than the 400-volt eDrive, which means that this will most likely be reserved for higher-end models. Now, this might seem like a bummer to you. However, this is a fairly common practice among EV makers. Furthermore, there is also the issue of recharging the vehicle. Sure, an 800-volt system can be recharged much faster. However, only if the charger allows it. And since 90% of EV models and an even greater percentage of EVs on the road in general utilize the 400-volt architecture, most chargers have been tailor-made for them. As a result, you'll hardly see the benefits most of the time, if ever. Oh, and there's also the issue of production. Sure, Magna is a big company. However, it will certainly have to convert some of its assemblies from the 400-volt eDrive to the 800-volt version, which will ultimately lower profits somewhat, as the latter will be used on a somewhat smaller scale. However, all these issues are a regular occurrence for developing technologies. Heck, if you remember the early 2000s and 10s, you could barely charge your EV anywhere, and nowadays there's a charger at every corner. Not to mention that this isn't an all-new technology like back then. It's just an evolution of an already existing technology. Building a new infrastructure from the ground up isn't necessary, just modernizing it. In addition to that, albeit more complex to make at the moment, the complexity will lower as the scale of production increases and the use of materials such as silicon carbide and gallium nitride increases. Plus, with more and more vehicles using 800-volt systems, this technology will become more and more widespread and far more mass used than now. As a result of this, the price will keep dropping continuously, and this means that soon enough, most EVs will come with such a powertrain as the eDrive, with 400-volt ones being reserved for just the most affordable EVs.